Hey guys, what's going on? Mike the Caveman Q here again, Paleo Problem Island and MikeTheCaveman.com. And today's question is, are carbs the enemy? Alright, so real quick, I'm Mike the Caveman, obviously. So a lot of times I get pigeonholed into the belief that I'm a no-carb guy, I'm a keto guy, I'm inherently a low-carb guy. Now, I'm a low-ish carb, a lot lower than the standard American diet, but not everybody is the same. Okay? Depending on where you're at and what your goals are, that is the big key. Your carbohydrate intake is based on both your activity and your individual tolerance. So that's super important. Moreover, it depends on what conditions. So ketogenic diet has some very therapeutic roles for cancer, for epilepsy, for neurodegenerative disease like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, for MS. So there's some therapeutic roles for it. That doesn't mean that everybody has to completely restrict carbohydrates. And from that, when people hear that I say no grains, no legumes, it's assumed that I mean no carbohydrates. No, there are plenty of other quality carbohydrates. Now, if you are looking to lose weight, if you have a lot of weight to lose, if you are obese and you are not particularly active, then yes, you're going to want to go on the lower carb end. You don't have the metabolic need for carbohydrates. If, however, you're already a lean athlete and you're trying to optimize performance, then yes, you're going to want to add in some carbohydrates. But that doesn't mean you got to start eating pizza and pasta. No, there's a whole if it fits your macros crowd. And for physique purposes only, absolutely. Aesthetics, it works. If you want to be neurotic about the macros, the percentage, the ratios, great. No problem. What's a better bet is eating real food. The way I look at it, it's all about actually getting nutrient-dense foods. I'm more concerned about health. We've talked about that before. Weight loss, or rather, weight regulation. Getting to your ideal weight is a consequence of health, not the other way around. You don't lose weight, or you don't put on the weight to be healthy. You get healthy, and then your weight will get to where you want it to be. If you are super lean and you want to add muscle, then yeah, you're going to eat more carbohydrate. If you're already overweight and you need to lose it, you're going to want to bring some back. Because more often than not, people consider their carbohydrates are refined flours and processed foods. Those are not foods that you need to be eating all the time. If you're eating lots of fruits and vegetables and starchy tubers, no problem. Particularly if you're somebody who's looking to optimize performance. With my athletes, what I have them do is have them eat low-ish carbs on days where they're not training very hard, their volume's not very high. Then I lower the carbohydrates. But if they're going to have a hard training day, if it's my power lifters, if it's a deadlift or a squat day, let's say, if it's my MMA fighters, if they're sparring that day, if they're getting in multiple sessions, yes, they have carbohydrates. They'll up the fruits. They'll up the starchy tubers. I'll even throw in some white rice. Crazy, I know. The reason being is at that point, they're trying to refill their glycogen stores. If you've been sitting on a couch all day watching a marathon of Walking Dead and you didn't get up, your glycogen stores are filled. If, however, you went and crushed it on a heavy lift, or you went for a bunch of sprints, or you had some sparring sessions, then yeah, you depleted your glycogen stores and you're going to need to refill them. So that's when you want to have your carbs. Peri-workout, a little before, a lot more after. The rest of the time, you'll do better on fat and protein. So that's the biggest thing. Fat, protein, non-starchy vegetables, carbohydrates as necessary. The other half of that is if you have a specific condition, be like pregnancy, if you have adrenal fatigue and your HPA axis is dysregulated, and to improve your gut health, you include some resistant starch. Now, if you have SIBO, not the best one, we've talked about that before, but the whole point of ketogenic and that super low carb is that you're mimicking the effects of fasting. That's why it was developed. The ketogenic diet was originally developed as a means to beat epilepsy. We've known since the days of Hippocrates that epilepsy can be cured or treated with fasting. So the ketogenic diet allowed us to have those same effects without the nasty side effect of fasting, which of course, if you do it for too long, is death. So you get those same effects, those same hormonal changes. But the fact is, it's still a stressor. It's a hormetic stressor, but a stressor nonetheless. So depending on where your allostatic load is, that decides whether following a ketogenic protocol is good or not. If it's good for you. It's not inherently bad, it's not inherently good. Just like carbohydrates are not inherently bad, they're not inherently good. Stay away from the overprocessed ones. Don't do refined sugar. The biggest key, like we said, is avoiding the micronutrient poor, the ones that have no nutrition to them and have a lot of energy. So for most people, the extra sugar is just going to raise their insulin levels, leading to that blood sugar roller coaster and eventually insulin resistance. So for the majority of people, you're going to want to keep it lower, but specific populations may want to keep it higher. So that's the biggest problem, is that we're too stuck on saying this is the one diet for everybody. This is what everybody should eat. Are there things everybody should eat? Yes, absolutely. What are those things? Nutrient-dense foods, okay? Lots of them. You want foods that are full of vitamins, minerals, essential fatty acids, polyphenols, antioxidants. Foods that are rich in those are amazing for you. Forget the macros, forget the calories. We're so stuck on that calorie in, calorie out. And what carbohydrate intake should I have? What fat intake should I have? What protein intake should I have? Eat real foods. Now, if we're trying to dial things in, then yes, we're going to want to play around with it. But the biggest factor is eating those real foods. Make sure you take care of getting in your nutrition, take care of your gut, and you get in lifestyle factors, and you'll be able to handle a lot more stress, and you'll be able to have a lot more diversified of a diet. So your biggest takeaways for today are: no, carbohydrates are not inherently the enemy. They are slightly more problematic for overall. There are more problematic carbohydrates than there are problematic fats and proteins. But that doesn't mean we have to toss the baby out with the bathwater. Tubers are not the same thing as grains and legumes. Starches are not inherently bad. If you're somebody who's trying to lose weight, you're going to want to go on the lower end. If you're somebody who's trying to optimize performance, you might go on a little bit higher end around the time of your workout to allow yourself to get that optimal glycogen refuel. Your muscles are going to want that carbohydrates to be able to perform at the highest level, which is why you want that carbohydrate on the inside. The insulin will be able to signal where it should go around that workout. You're more insulin sensitive around that workout. So that's basically the short version of this. I'm sure we'll get 1,000 more questions within that, but the point is, carbohydrates inherently are not the enemy, but for most people, we're doing way, way too much of it. More importantly, kick the grains and legumes, kick the nutrient-poor foods. Eat real foods. All right, guys, hopefully that helped you out. You know what to do. Like and subscribe down below. Share it with your friends. Head on over to Instagram and Twitter and follow me at Mike the Caveman. Over on Facebook at Paleo Problem Island. Of course, over on MikeTheCaveman.com. That being said, enjoy the day. I'll see you tomorrow.